Craig Wasserman, a lifelong educator and devoted skateboarder, grew up in St. Louis, Missouri, shaped by his family, public schools, sports teams, and the great outdoors. With a Bachelor of Studio Arts in Printmaking and a K-12 Visual Arts teaching license, he set out on a path of education that eventually led him to Telluride, Colorado. But it was skateboarding that taught him life's deepest lessons: patience, perseverance, humility, and the grit to keep going after every fall. In 2017, Craig followed his passion and opened the Drop Board Shop, Telluride's first core skateboard shop, creating a space where kids of all ages could push their limits, build confidence, and find community. Today, you'll find him at the Drop daily, teaching, creating, and inspiring the next generation to take the drop, both on and off the board. And as Craig says, nothing happens if you don't step to the edge, take a deep breath, make the drop, and enjoy the ride. Hey y'all, let's go there.
All right, Craig Wasserman here from the Drop Board Shop in Telluride Skate Camp. I just have a couple more thoughts I wanted to add into this mix. I know I spoke earlier about the upbringing I had in St. Louis, Missouri, my very special sister Angie, and kind of the way that my parents raised her in such an inclusive manner. I wanted to quickly circle back around to my parents. They've had a huge influence on my life and who I am today and what I'm doing with myself. And my mom was just this incredible woman who really is in many ways my conscience. She's that little voice on my shoulder that asks me, if I'm trying my hardest, or if I'm doing my best, or if I'm doing what's right. She always told me growing up that, you know what's right. And she would say it like that, you know what's right. And it helped me gain confidence in my intuition and helped me be willing to go for it when I really felt like it was time to go for it and trust myself in that manner. And she always did it with love, but it was a pretty solid, tough kind of love. As well as my dad, very much tough love, very much old school in a lot of ways. And my dad and I spent a ton of time outside. Our whole family did. We went camping almost every weekend when I was young, and we spent a lot of time in nature. And my dad was an incredibly interesting fellow who would tell you straight to your face, he is not spiritual. He is not interested in talking about, a higher power or God or, these woo-woo things. However, I would go out fishing with my dad in the dark. We'd watch the sunrise sitting on a very small boat on a lake in the middle of nowhere, Missouri together. And we would sit silently and watch the mist rise off the water and watch the sunrise and watch the light come on, and sometimes sit for hours, many hours, with nothing happening. No fish being caught, no action as far as the fishing goes, but an incredible amount of action as far as what we were observing, what we were seeing, what we were listening to. And my dad seemed to be always at peace with that time, those hours. And I learned to be also, and I learned to really be into the fact that we were just sitting there on the water, watching nature and observing and being a part of it and being completely content doing that and doing that together. We never really talked about it a lot. Anytime I would kind of breach the subject, my dad wasn't really into it. But I know from that he has this incredible respect and love of nature. And that's led me to my sense of place. That's led me to where I am right now, to living in Telluride, Colorado, where we have these incredibly gorgeous mountains around us and access to the rivers and to the great outdoors right outside our front door. 20 steps from my house, I could be down in the San Miguel River, standing waist deep, fishing with my kids or swimming or just hanging out, looking at the animals in the water. And I feel like my kids are getting that too, and they're very content just being outside. Um, it made COVID really easy too, to be honest. We spent a lot of time just outside, together as a family and, just hanging out in nature, and we're all very happy doing that, which is really cool. Um, I wanted to quickly talk about too where the name The Drop comes from. Uh, Real quick, when I taught at the Telluride Mountain School for 15 years or more, I think maybe 17 years, I got to design and lead a bunch of our international travel program. And that allowed me to design trips basically meant to knock kids off their comfort zone and into that place of discomfort. I feel like when you're out of your comfort zone, that's where the magic happens. When you're out of your comfort zone, that's where you learn things. And that's where you're willing to look at things a little differently and to feel a little bit uncomfortable, but also to have those great learning moments. And so we designed a lot of our travel program, we designed a lot of our international trips to be purposely trips that would put kids out of their comfort zone. I mean, when you're walking around India, when you're walking around Southeast Asia, when you're walking around not knowing the language, learning about the culture, not knowing, exactly what your next meal is going to be. Um, that's when kids are very open to learning and very susceptible to growing. And I see that carry over a lot into this skateboarding program that I do now too. Kids are very much outside of their comfort zone when they're trying new things on their skateboard, and it's very similar to those moments of travel where kids are outside their comfort zone and learn a lot. While I was on one of these trips in Costa Rica, the kids were at language school in the morning. I went surfing that morning. The swell was really big. I was out in the water by myself because it was low tide, and most of the locals were waiting until the tide filled in and covered more water on the sharp, jagged reefs before they went out in these, you know, solid waves, well overhead waves at this pretty scary wave. And I was out there by myself, and a set came in, and I kind of was watching the set and paddling around, seeing if I was in the right place. And I took maybe the second wave of the set and I went to go paddle into the wave and I went to go make my drop and I had just had too much going on. I was thinking about what I was going to do down the line on the wave. I was thinking about if I was in the right spot, if this was the right wave of the set to pick. Am I really okay? Is it too shallow in front of me? And I blew the drop and I fell and I ended up on the reef and I cut myself up and was okay, but was standing there in about shin deep water on a pretty shallow, jagged, um, volcanic rock reef in Costa Rica with the next wave coming at me. And it was a pretty bad situation. And I made it okay. I made it off. I punched through the next couple waves and ducked over a few more and then made it back outside and was sitting there and was like, what was that? What did I do wrong? Why did I blow the drop? And the next set came a few minutes later, and I was kind of scrambling around. And it's a little different to be by yourself in the water at a really good wave that's really firing, that's really happening, as opposed to in California when there'd be 40 or 50 or 80 other people around you battling for the same waves. And I'm by myself. And I'm thinking to myself, I need to not have that happen again. I need to make the drop. What do I need to do to focus on the most important thing? Is it the second wave? Should I take the third wave? Am I too far in? Am I too far out? Should I move over? And I finally got myself to calm down as the set was coming towards me. And I said, focus on the most important thing in front of you right now. And that is making the drop. You do not get to surf the wave until you make the drop. You have to make the drop for anything else to happen afterwards. And the wave came, and I calmed myself down with some breathing, and I stroked into it, and I made really careful sure that my hands were on the rails in the right place, that my feet came up all squatted, and I made this drop on this left hand point down the face of this wave, really bendy and squatty and surfy, and came up. And then I got to surf the rest of the wave, and it lined up way down the line in front of me. And I had this beautiful, well overhead wall to work with. all the way down to the end of the wave, kicked out. I could hear some of the locals on the beach kind of whistling or hooting, and it made sense. And I was paddling back out, and I said, "Whoa, that's it. That's the name for the shop that I'm about to start after I get back from this trip, which was on spring break or just after spring break, and turn in my letter of resignation to the school that I've been teaching at for over 15 years and quit teaching and quit my career path that I've had going for a long time and open up the Drop board shop here in Telluride, Colorado. And that's what I did. And I called it the Drop. And the Drop is that moment of truth. The drop represents all of these things I've been talking about. It's the moment you commit. It's the moment you say yes all the way to yourself. You can't make the drop on a surfboard, on a skateboard, in life. You cannot make the drop unless you fully commit. And when you do fully commit, that's when these magic things start to happen in front of you. That's when I truly believe the universe starts to line up like that wave did for me. And things start to happen to allow your potential to come to fruition. But you have to make the drop with full intent, with full commitment. And I've seen it happen over and over and over. I mean, at this point, maybe thousands of kids I've taught to drop in. And dropping in on a skateboard is no joke. You stand on the edge, right on the edge of this vertical thing many times, and you have to commit all the way to making this drop. It does not work unless you commit 100%, unless you trust yourself all the way, unless you stare that demon of fear straight in the eyeballs and say, I'm doing this, I'm ready for it. And as a coach, myself and my other coaches I teach to encourage kids when they're ready to do it all the way. And if they're not ready all the way, we say, hey, let's wait till you're ready. Let's wait till you're really ready to do this. And when a kid's ready, they know it and they do it. And they usually stick it just fine because your body knows what to do if you can turn that brain off sometimes, if you can stop questioning yourself and just trust your body. When we've led a kid up to that point where we know that they're ready to do it, 99.9% of the time they do it and they stick it, and then they're elated and ready to do it again and ready to do it again. And it goes from being scared and overcoming the fear to becoming a little bit more fun, to becoming really exciting, to then just becoming the beginning of your run. When you start skateboarding, you drop in and then you get to go do whatever you want and make the magic happen around the rest of the skate park. So that's where the name The Drop comes from. And the shop, the actual brick and mortar shop that we have right here in Telluride, if you walk into this shop and you buy something that has the Drop logo on it, that says The Drop, you are supporting all these things that I'm talking about right now. You are supporting the coaching that goes into helping kids face their fears. You are supporting the coaching and the programs that we design that allow kids to gain confidence and walk tall in the skate park and outside the skate park. And if you are wearing the Drop logo, you're wearing something that represents this attempt to make a positive impact on the world that we are striving to do every day here at the Drop and in our Telluride skate camp. All of the Drop gear is made and designed and printed right here in the shop. And we print everything right here on the skateboard ramp when we're not skating on it. I wheel out our screen printing press and I turn our bathroom into a dark room, burn our screens, and to transfer my artwork that I've made after 20 years of teaching kids art, I actually get to make my own artwork now. And we put it on screens and we put it on hoodies and we put it on t-shirts and we make our own beanies and we make our own leather mitts and gloves and hats. And those things that have the Drop logo on them, they represent what we're doing here and the positive effect that we're having on our community and on kids and hopefully on the world. The idea that we make all the stuff ourselves is this very long-standing tradition in skateboarding and in the art world of DIY culture, of do it yourself. And we have committed ourselves to trying to do everything we can ourselves. We build our own ramps. We work with companies who have built our skate park, who have taught themselves how to work with concrete and design and build some of the world's best skate parks, which we are very lucky to now have here in Telluride. And we make our own gear. We make our own fun. And in many ways, we design our own lives in the spirit of do it yourself. And that's been going on in skateboarding for a long time. It's the roots of punk rock music. It's the roots of a lot of folk music. It's the roots of the real artwork that happens in this world. And it's what we're doing here as skateboarders who are trying to spread our love of skating because we believe in it so deeply. So there you have it. If you have any more questions, please let us know. Please hit me back. If you want to check out the shop and you want to do any shopping here when you're in Telluride, please find our shop. We're on Oak Street. Come on down the stairs. Come and hang out. You don't have to buy a thing. You can just come on in and share a story or share some stoke or hang out. Everybody should feel comfortable when they come in this shop, whether they're skaters or not. And if you want to shop online, we have an online store through our website. That's thedropboardshop.com, thedropboardshop.com. And if you go to the top tab, you'll see a little section that says dropwear or shop dropwear. Click on that and you'll see all the gear that you can buy. And just remember, when you're supporting us, you are supporting the future of the world as far as we're concerned. So check us out. Hit me up with any messages or questions that you have. We really appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Thank y'all for listening today. If you're so inclined, please follow, subscribe, download, share, all of the things so that we can keep going. We appreciate your support so much. If you're interested in learning more, go to thecoeffect.co.